Okay, so live na tayo.
Ito
So,
po, kakanta po kami.
hindi,
Maglalay
hindi tayo
mo
makakakanta
siya.
ngayon. So, ngayon lang isi-share natin is regarding dun sa 2,300 days. No? So, isa to sa controversial topic na uh, tungkol dun sa sa prophecy regarding Daniel chapter 8. So, gusto ko lang basahin yung talata, At nilive ko to dahil may gustong marinig yung paliwanag natin dito. So ang yung Bible yung mahalagang tingnan natin at ano ba yung ng mga scholars regarding this, no? So sabi dito before that, sabi dito sa Daniel 8:14, and he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall be sanctuary be cleansed. So ang pinag-usapan dito ay yung 2,300 days regarding the sanctuary, cleansing ng sanctuary. So basahin natin yung taas, no? Yung taas na talata niya. Dito po yan sa yung context ng talata, no? Mahalaga yun makita natin kasi hindi pwedeng tawag dito misinterpret o allocate yung talata at some of them is syempre yung Seventh-day Adventist, they interpret it as 2,300 years, huh? So yan yung isang controversial interpretation na sinasangayunan ng most of the Seventh-day Adventist, syempre. Pero ang ibang mga scholars hindi sumasang-ayon doon. So basahin natin muna doon sa verse 7, no? Ang chapter 8 ng Daniel ay kailangan basahin yung buong chapter or doon ka mag-start sa 7 para makita mo kung bakit niya binanggit yung 2,300 days, no? Ni Daniel, yung vision. Sabi dito, and I saw him come close unto the ram. So this verse is pertaining to the ram and goat, yung magsasalpukan sa gitna, no? So pagka pinag-usapan yung Daniel's prophecy, may kinalaman dito yung nations, no? May kinalaman dito yung mga kings, no? Yung mga tagapanguna nila, no? So sabi dito, and I saw him close unto the ram, and he was moved with shoulder against him and smote the ram and break his two horns, no? And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. So dito sa prophecy na to, nakita ni Daniel yung ram, no? So bago natin anuhin yan, gusto natin magkaroon ng background. Sino ba yung ram? Ano ba yung ram na yan, no? Pagka binasa natin yung verse 1, sabi dito sa Daniel chapter 8 verse 1, in the year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And sabi niya, yan yung nangyari, no, sa time ni Belshazzar. Actually, after Nebuchadnezzar, no? Si Belshazzar yung pumalit. Okay? So, verse 2, and I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in that palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. And verse 3, then I lift up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river Aram. So when Daniel saw in his vision, doon sa kanyang vision, no, na nakita niya doon nandun siya sa river of Ulai, then nakita niya yung ram, no? Yan yung binasa natin sa verse 7. Pagka check ninyo, may verse sa verse 3, yung ram, sabi niya, there stood before the river a ram, and which had two horns. So yung ram, meron daw siyang two horns, and the two horns were high. So mataas siya, but one was higher than the other. So, and the higher came up last. So, yung ram, meron siyang two horns, at yung dalawang horn na yun may tumataas siya. And yung isa mas mataas dun sa isa. So naniwala tayo sa prophecy ni Daniel, ang ram na ito ay yung Persia, no? So we do believe that yung horn na yan yung dalawang hari ng Persia. So that is a Medo-Persian, yung Median and Persia. So alam natin yan, ang leader ng Persia si Cyrus, si King Cyrus, and doon naman sa Media si Darius, no? So yan yung prophecy regarding doon sa ram. Then tingnan natin, diretso natin. Yan yung dahilan kung bakit mas mataas yung isa mas mababa. So yan yung two kings, no? Okay. And verse 4, and I saw ram pushing westward, sabi dito, and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. During that time, during the history, that time yung Medo-Persian Empire, malakas siya, no? Walang makastand before him. And sabi dito, neither was there any sabi dito that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and become great. So, yan yung nangyari sa Medo-Persian Empire. So, pagka binasa natin sa history, ang Medo-Persian Empire talagang he was exceedingly great. Verse 5, sabi dito, and I was considering, sabi niya, behold, an he-goat came from the east on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. So, itong he-goat na to, alam natin that is the empire after Medo-Persian Empire. So that is the Greco-Macedonian Empire. So we know this that yung empire na to ay sa pamumuno ni Alexander the Great. So paano 'yun? Sabi niya dito, and he goat came from the west. So alam natin 'yan, yung west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. So may yung goat na yan, mayroon siyang horn dun sa kanyang between his eyes. So only one horn, that is Alexander the Great. So if you read the history, no, sa talagang si Alexander the Great, talagang napakalakas niya during his time, no? At talagang tingnan nyo sa verse 6, magkakatagpo yung dalawang yan, no? Sa yung ram at yung he-goat, no? So sabi dito sa verse 6, and he came to the ram, so from west, at sabi dito pero yung ram sa verse 4 is pushing westward, northward, and southward. So if you pwede natin pakita yan, no? Yung nasakop ng Medo-Persian Empire. Pero itong he-goat, he came from the west, and papunta siya dito sa verse 6, he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. So ang nangyari dito is susugudin niya yung ram, no, nitong he-goat, no? So alam natin yung nangyari diyan. Pagka binasa mo yung history, matatalo yung Medo-Persian Empire. So under the Alexander the Great, na siya yung talagang ruler that time. And I saw verse 7, ito na. And I saw him close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram. So ano yung ibig sabihin ng smote? Na-smite siya, natalo siya, o namatay siya, napatay siya, o na-slay siya. And sabi and break his two horn, nasira yung o natanggal yung dalawang horn niya. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. So walang power yung ram na that time. So nung natalo ng Greco-Macedonian Empire ang Medo-Persian Empire, nasakop niya kung ano yung nasakop nila, masasakop ng Greco-Macedonian Empire. And sabi niya dito, and he cast him down to the ground. So talagang na-trampled siya. And stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. So halos talagang hindi makagulapay yan. So natalo talaga yung Medo-Persian Empire according to the history. And verse 8, ito yung sabi, therefore the he-goat waxed very great. So alam natin yung history when Alexander the Great, napakabata, just 21 years old, no? Nung nasakop niya halos, no, napakalaki, no? If you check the history, yung nasakop niya mas malawak sa Medo-Persian Empire. And sabi niya, when he was strong, and the great horn was broken. Iyon ang problema. Dumating yung punto na naputol yung horn niya. So that is Alexander the Great nung siya po ay namatay. So according to the historian, dalawang aspeto yung tinitingnan na paano siya namatay. Una, nilason siya. Pangalawa, nagkaroon siya ng malaria. So nabasa ko na yun sa history na maraming school of thoughts dyan na pinagbibintangan. Maraming pinagbibintangan yung kanya mga generals. Ano nangyari? Nung na-broken o namatay si Alexander the Great, may sabi niya dito, for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of the heaven. So may four horn na lumitaw doon sa kanyang na broken na horn. So pagka dinrawing mo yan, no, may isang horn tas nabali. Doon sa pagkabali ng isang horn, lumitaw yung apat na horn. No? Anong nangyari sa verse 9? And out of one of them came forth a little horn. Doon sa four horn na yon, no? May lumitaw doon na little horn, no? And sabi dito, which wax exceeding great toward the south, no? Toward the east, toward the pleasant land. So ano yung pleasant land? Yung pleasant land, alam natin, yan yung Israel. So sino tong little horn? This little horn is ito yung si Alexander the Great. If you have your history, you can Google it, no? Sabi ng history na yung four horn na tumubo dun sa single horn is the four generals of Alexander the Great. Sino-sino sila? Sila po ay si Seleucus, si Cassander, si Lysimachus at si Ptolemy, no? You can search on your Google, no? Mayroon po siyang apat na generals, no? So diretso natin. Bakit sabi dito ang doon sa apat na yon may lumitaw na little horn, no? So alam natin the prominent horn diyan sa dalawang yan, doon sa apat na yan, yung dalawa, that is Ptolemaic and Seleucid, na? So dalawa yan, Ptolemaic and Seleucid. Bakit? If you read the history, no, sabi ng history, no, check natin, no, four generals of, you can check on your Google din. Sabi dito, there are four generals according to the AI overview sa Google, no? Sabi dito si Ptolemy, si Seleucus, sabi nung iba si Antigonus yung name nung isa. Pero si Cassander, I think yun, no? Si Lysimachus, I think, no? Pagka siguro iba yung pangalan niya, pero most of the scholars before, no, siguro 1900s na mga scholars, they believe that is Lysimachus. Ang sabi dito, ito mo. Pagka binasa mo sa Wikipedia, no? Sabi niya sa Diadoche. The Diadoche were the rival generals family and friends of Alexander the Great, sabi dito. And who fought for control over his empire. Kailan yon? Yung death ni Alexander the Great, that was 323 BC. So, ang nangyari doon, bakit? Yung War of the Diadoche, yun daw yung mark ng beginning of the Hellenistic period. So, ano yung pag Hellenism? Hellenism is yan yung pag-influence doon sa mga tao na maging katulad kung ano yung kanilang kaugalian. So, sabi dito, from the Mediterranean Sea to the Indus River Valley. Pero hindi niya halos muntikan na niya masakop ni Alexander the Great yung Mongolia, I think, no, papunta na ng China, pero doon siya natalo no, sa Indian River, sa Indus River Valley, sabi doon. Sabi pa dito, the most notable Diadochic include, sabi niya, Ptolemy, Antigonus, Cassander, and Seleucus. As the last remaining at the end of the war of successor ruling in Egypt, sabi niya, Asia Minor, Macedon, and Persia. So yan yung binabanggit ko kanina na sino yung Ram. So that is Persia, no? Sabi dito, all forging dynasties lasting several centuries. So ang prominent ang prominent horn yung dalawa, that is Seleucus and Ptolemy. So bakit anong kinalaman yan doon sa verse 9? Sabi dito, the little horn which wax exceedingly great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. So, what is this pleasant land? Pleasant land is Jerusalem. Sino yung little horn? Yung little horn, hindi yan yung four generals. Doon sa successor ng four generals, which is the Seleucid Kingdom, alam natin yan, that is papunta na po yan doon sa Roman Empire. No? If you know Antiochus Epiphanes, he's a successor of the Seleucid Kingdom, Empire. No? Siya yung isa sa pinaka, ang sabi dito ng Britannica, no? Sabi ng who is Antiochus Epiphanes? Antiochus Epiphanes was born 215 BC and he was died in 164 BC. So sabi niya, bakit? Sabi niya, ano siya? Was the Seleucid king of the Hellenistic Syrian kingdom who reigned from 175 BC to 164 BC. And sabi niya ito, as a ruler, he was best known for his encouragement of Greek culture and institution. So during the time, papunta pa lang yan doon sa Roman Empire. No? Pero that period is a Grecian Empire. So they want them the Greek culture into the whole world. Yan yung Hellenistic o Hellenism. Yan yung gusto nilang mangyari. And he suppressed or he attempts to suppress Judaism brought on the wars of the Maccabeans. During that time, alam natin sa Israel, walang propeta that time. So the last prophet that time is Prophet Malachi. So from Prophet Malachi till Jesus Christ till John the Baptist, walang prophet dun. So that ang tawag ng Bible doon ng mga scholars is the silent years. So that is 434 years. 400 silent years. So bakit? Paano ngayon? Anong kinalaman niyan doon sa sinishare natin? Ito po yung binabanggit ko kanina na yung Daniel 8 na sa verse 9, yung toward the pleasant land. Pinagdiskatahan ni Antiochus di Epiphanes. So ang meaning ng Antiochus, no? Epiphany, ano yan no? May kinalaman doon sa parang coming, no? Yung siya po yung the madman. So parang siraulo siya. So, sa sa pagkakakilala sa kanya. Ang sabi ng mga scholar, he's a madman. So hindi ko alam kung galit siya sa mundo or ano siya, basta galit siya sa Hudyo, no? Actually, he was going to invade na yung Egypt, no? Pero na-defeat siya sa Egypt nung panahon na yon. So ang pinagdiskatahan ni Antiochus Epiphanes yung Pleasant Land, that is Jerusalem. So nung kinalaman nito sa 2,300 days, ito yung gagawin niya, na i-profane yung Temple of Jerusalem na may kinalaman doon sa 2,300 days. No? Ang 2,300 days ay 6.5 years. No? Ayan po ay 6 na taon at kalahati. No? Sa literal application, ito po ay 6 na taon at kalahati. Diretso natin sa verse 10. Daniel chapter 8 verse 10. And it wax great, sabi niya, even to the host of heaven. Yan po yung nangyari kay Antiochus Epiphanes. And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. No? Pero take note, may kinalaman tong Daniel chapter 8. Meron din itong aplikasyon sa darating na end times. No? Diretso natin sa verse 11. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. So, ganyan po si Antiochus Epiphanes. Kaya yung pangalan niya, tingnan nyo, Antiochus Epiphany. No? Ano bang ibig sabihin ng Epiphany sa yung ano ba yung meaning na yan? Ano ba yung meaning niyan? So, pag-check natin, ano? At least mayroon tayong source, no? Hindi tayo, ang ibig sabihin ng Epiphanes sa Greek word, no? Siyempre mga Greek sila, manifest or illustrious or appearing. So actually, ang ibig sabihin ng Antiochus Epiphanes, God appearing, na? So yan yung kanyang pakilala sa kanyang sarili, no? So saan ba daw derive yung Epiphanes o Epiphanes? Epiphania or sabi niya to bring to light, to cause to appear. Yan po yung binabanggit dito sa verse 10 na it wax great even to the host of heaven, it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground, stamped upon them. Yung most of the na marami siyang napabagsak, no? At it will cause to the Maccabean revolt sa time na yon. And diretso natin, sabi niya, and yet, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice. Tingnan niyo po ito. Ito na, papunta na tayo doon sa verse. The daily sacrifice was taken away. During the time, ano pong ginawa ni Antiochus Epiphanes? According sa history, na credible source natin, most of the mga scholars, no, ang ginawa ng Greek o Syrian king na to ay ginawa niyang sinira niya, he profaned the temple of Jerusalem sa panahon po na yon. Ano pong ginawa niya? Naghandog sila ng baboy instead of yung tamang handog na ginagamit ng mga Hudyo. Ginawa nila baboy ang kanilang inihandog sa templo, and they profane the whole temple of Jerusalem. Anong ginawa nila? They have having sexual intercourse doon sa loob, no? And marami silang inalipin, marami silang pinatay. Yun po ang nangyari. Kaya ang sabi dito, the daily sacrifice. What is the daily sacrifice? The daily sacrifice is the sacrifice of the Jewish priest para dun sa atonement for the sin na ginagawa nila, yung daily sacrifice na ginagawa nila. So alam natin ang custom of the Jew, they have the daily sacrifice, no, in the temple. So yan po ay inalis ni Antiochus Epiphanes. And sabi dito, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Sa time na yan, halos sirain yung handog. Winala o mawawalang kwenta. Pero sabi dito sa verse 12, diretso natin, and an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by the reason of transgression. Yan po yung nangyari. Nagkaroon ng transgression sa time na yun. It cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prosper. Yung kasamaan that time for 6.5 years, talagang na mayagpag sa time na yan. You can search on Google kung ano ba nangyari, ano bang ginawa ni Antiochus, no? Basahin lang natin ano bang mga ginawa niya. No, sabi niya dito, yung he has the effort to Hellenize the kingdom, the whole kingdom ng Greco-Macedonian Empire. So sabi niya dito, both economically and socially, he made effort to strengthen his kingdom. He inhabited it in the main by the non-Greeks by founding and fostering Greek cities. Even before he had begun his reign, he had contributed to the building of the temple of Zeus. Ginawa niyang templo ni Zeus, no? Nagkaroon siya ng mga, instead na sa Diyos, sa dakilang Diyos ng Israel yun, ginawa niya mga Diyos-Diyosan yung ginawa niya. Ito po ang sabi niya pa dito, Antiochus Hellenizing policies brought him into conflict with prosperous non-Greek temple organization, particularly to the Jews. No? So anong ginawa niya? So siya na yung siya na yung namuno sa kanila. Pero sabi dito, the Greeks and those friendly toward them were united in the community of Antiochians. Sabi niya, the worship of Yahweh and all of Jewish rites were forbidden on pain of death. So na-forbid na yung daily sacrifice na wala. No? Kaya magkakaroon dyan ng revolt yung Maccabeans. Kaya magkakaroon ng war sa time na yan para magkaroon sila ng independence. Balik natin dun sa talata. That's Daniel chapter 8 verse 13. Ito na yung sabi. Then I heard one saint speaking, and the other saint said unto the certain saints which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning this daily sacrifice? That time, alam natin kung ano nangyari. Yung ginawa ng Syrian king na si Antiochus Epiphanes, na ang kanya pong ginawa ay exceedingly great at talagang abomination, transgression. Nagtanong yung isang matanda dito, sabi niya dito, o yung isang banal, hanggang kailan mo, sabi niya, how long the vision concerning the daily sacrifice? Gusto nilang ibalik yung daily sacrifice, the custom of the right or rights nila to have the daily sacrifice. Sabi niya dito, the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and to the host to be trodden underfoot. Okay, lang daw ano yan? Anong sagot ng Panginoong Diyos? And he said unto me, o sinabi sa kanya nung sa vision, unto 2,300 days, then shall be the sanctuary be cleansed. So, yan yung topic natin. So, nagkaroon lang tayo ng background doon sa taas. Binasa lang natin yung verse 1 hanggang verse 13. Sinagot siya hanggang 2,300 days, the sanctuary be cleansed. Paano yan nangyari? So, kilala natin yung dahilan kung bakit nag-revolt si Judas Maccabees. Actually, his father Simon Maccabeans o Simon Maccabees. Siya po, kapatid niya si Simon Maccabees. Yung tatay nila si Mattathias Maccabees, no? Sabi dito, he led the Maccabean revolt against the Seleucid Empire. So, sino ba si Judas Maccabees? Judas Maccabees, he was a Jewish priest, no? And he was a son of the priest Mattathias Maccabees. So, if we are familiar to the Hanukkah festival, That was December. It was originated during December. Oh, I think just live, no? 25. Yan ay ginagawa nila para pag-aalaala, commemoration for the Maccabean Revolt under the Antiochus Epiphanes king. No? So ano pong ano yan? Sabi dito, that was 164 BC. So they commemorates or they have a revolt under the Seleucid Empire para makapag-restore sila ng worship or Jewish worship to the Second Temple during 164 BC. And sabi dito, after Judas Maccabees removed those statues, naglagay kasi sila ng mga Diyos-Diyosan dyan o depicting Greek gods and goddesses, and he purified. So yung sinagot sila ng Diyos ng 2,300 days, maibabalik yung daily sacrifice. Oh? And sabi niya dito, yan yung Hasmonean dynasty sa panahon na yan. So sabi niya dito, ano bang nangyari? Ano bang nangyari sa kanila? So ito yung sabi dito. Ito yung sabi, Judas Maccabees led the revolt against Antiochus Epiphanes, that which lasted 6.5 years. That was 2,300 days. So, bakit natin convert to literal days? Kasi hindi po siya, some of the scholars, hindi sila naniniwala doon sa from days to years ginagawa ng iba. So, ano ba yung reputation diyan, no? So, may arguments yan, no? Ang ginagawa ng iba is the days, 2 years, no? Binabanggit nila yung Ezekiel 4:6. Some of the Seventh-day Adventists ginagawa yun. Yan yung kanilang ano, no? At linilink nila yung Daniel 8:14 to Daniel chapter 9 prophecy to the 70 weeks of Daniel. So from during 457 or I think from 457 BC to 1844, yan daw yung 2,300 days. No? Anong kanilang interpretation? Yan daw yung cleansing of the sanctuary. May reference sila yan. Bakit? Kasi sabi niya, yung earthly sanctuary, may representation yan sa heavenly sanctuary. So, wala tayong tutol doon no? Ano yan? Copycat nyo, no? Parang may replica niya. O parehas, no? Typology or tawag doon, kaparehas, no? Pagka may literal sanctuary, may spiritual sanctuary. Hindi tayo tutol doon. Pero, ano yung misinterpretation? Halimbawa, yung cleansing of the sanctuary. So, some critics, sabi niya, argue that the concept of the cleansing of the sanctuary in the heavenly realm is not supported by the scripture and it is a misinterpretation of the text. Anong sabi niya? Una, lack of historical fulfillment. Some argue that the predicted event of 1844, yan yung greatest disappointment. So, may book sila niyan, yung Greatest Disappointment, na si William Miller nag-prophesy niyan. Si Ellen G. White nag-prophesy 1844, babalik na si Lord. Ganun yung sabi. Pero hindi nag-materialize. Yan yung isang naging dahilan yan, yung doubting ng validity ng interpretation. So, nagkaroon sila ng The Greatest Disappointment book. So, may interpretation sila niya. Ano pang isa? Lack of historical fulfillment. Pangalawa, inconsistency of the interpretation. In the interpretation, the text. So sabi dito, critics point to inconsistency in the application of a day for a year, principle, and specific historical events associated with the prophecy. Ano pa? Sabi niya yung alternative interpretation. Some propose alternative interpretation of the 2,300 days suggesting it refers to the different time period or events altogether. Oo, bakit? Biruin mo, kung 1844 yan, tapos ang pinag-uusapan is Daniel chapter 8 verse 14. Take note ha, Greco-Macedonian Empire na yan. So ang topic doon sa Daniel chapter 8, wala na doon yung Babylonian Empire. Or even that was 457 BC, sabi nila. So hindi nila naintindihan, ang year ng Greek Empire is 175 BC. So lack of ano yan, lack of historical fulfillment. Anong conclusion dyan na masasabi natin regarding doon sa 2,300 days pagdating doon sa interpretation ng Seventh-day Adventist? So the 2,300 days prophecy and its connection to the year 1844 is complex and controversial topic within religious studies. And para sa akin, mali talaga yun. Bakit? Kasi you convert para makuha mo lang yung interpretation ng 1844, the greatest disappointment ng kanilang propesya ng kanilang propeta. So gagawin mo, mag-start ka 457 BC to 1844. So that is 2,300 years. Pero anong mga events nangyari? So hindi ang immediate application nito, ang pinag-uusapan sa Daniel chapter 8 ay yung cleansing of the sanctuary and daily sacrifice. Yan yung take note sa heavenly sanctuary yan. So kung ang explanation nila, ito ang conflict. Sabi ng Seventh-day Adventist, tinanggal na yung daily sacrifice. Wala nang sakripisyo kundi si Kristo. Pero hindi ang gagawin nila daily sacrifice. Kailan babalik yung daily sacrifice? Yan yung mga lack of support, interpretation doon sa kanilang Pero punta tayo doon sa end time. So, naniniwala ako na itong events na to, mayroong typology doon sa huling panahon. So, naniniwala tayo, the little horn is type also to the Revelation chapter 13. Yung notable horn, no? Basahin natin yung horn. Okay? May verse tayo ipapakita niyan, no? Okay, check na natin. So, if you have your Bible, no? Mababasa natin. Yung little horn, mababasa yun sa Daniel 7 verse 8, mababasa chapter 8 verse 9. Pero may horn din yan dun sa Book of Revelation. No? Check ko lang dito sa aking verse. Okay. Horn. Revelation, tingnan natin. Iba to yung horn. Ito tayo sa Revelation 13. May beast dyan, may 10 horns. May isang beast na lumitaw from the sea. May isang lumitaw from the land. No? Okay. Pero balik tayo dito sa isa. Okay, so sa mga nanonood dyan, so God bless sa inyong pag-wait, sa inyong panonood, and I hope yung kaunting sharing po na to makapagbigay sa inyo ng encouragement or makapagbigay ng kahit kaunting unawa, knowledge, no? Okay, gusto ko lang makita dito sa verse, yung verse na yung horn. No? Sahin natin. Hanapin lang natin dito. 14, 13. I think chapter 13 nga. Okay, 13 nga talaga. Yung horn. Yung little horn. Doon sa beast na lang tayo. Yung little horn doon sa Daniel 7, tsaka Daniel chapter 8. Pero sa Book of Revelation, yung horn na 10 horns, meron doon na isa na mamamatay. Almost mamamatay na siya. Okay? So sabi dito sa verse 1, and I saw one of his head, and it as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wonder after the beast. So may application nito hindi lamang sa during the time ng Reformation age. So alam natin yung deadly wound o wounded head. No, that is the Roman Empire o the Papal Roman Empire was wounded. Kailan yan? Sa time ni Charlemagne, when Charlemagne dethroned the Pope, the papacy, sa panahon niya. Alala niyo yun, nung si Charlemagne ay dinethrone niya yun. And sa time ni Napoleon Bonaparte, nung he was as crowned, kinrown din siya, no? Pero namatay din siya, pero halos na-dethrone din niya. Nawala ng power ang papacy that time. Anong nangyari niyan? Kung i-analyze mo, yan yung Reformation age sa time na yun. That was 1500s when Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses in the Wittenberg Church to the door of the Wittenberg Church. The Roman Catholicism was wounded. Ano ba nangyari doon? Bakit? The Reformation shine o nagkaroon talaga ng ilaw. So, sino ba yung Star of Reformation? Alam natin yan, si John Wycliffe. So, isa yan si John Wycliffe. Star of the Reformation is Martin Luther. Pero yung morning star of the Reformation is si John Wycliffe. Isa siya doon sa isa din siya sa pinagsimulan nun. Pero ang pinaka-prominent na star of the Reformation si Martin Luther. Pero marami sila, si William Tyndale,